Intellectually engaging to think outside the lines with conversation about the nation that never leaves you blind. Take a listen and pay attention. Here is where you find the educational, sensational meeting of the minds. Yeah, it's the meeting of the minds. Meeting of the minds.
You're watching Meeting of the Minds. I am Selah V, and once again, I am here with some lovely, lovely people, and we are going to discuss healing work, especially needed in the times that we are in, surrounding all the different fear that is going on around viruses that are spreading quickly, and people are so much very unsure about the state of their future, and there's just so much panic going around. So we are going to be talking about healing and healing work at this table today, and I'd like to introduce our guests to you. First with me, I have Miss Jamie Wright at the table. Hello. She is a pastor at Flower of Life Ministries. She also has brought me on. She does Sunday meditations and Reiki and different work at Flower of Life Ministries, and you can look that up if you'd like and to see what it's about. And she allows me to come on Saturdays to do some work with her as well, and I do meditation on Saturday as well. So if you were interested to find out more about that, you can look that up, and we are there on Saturdays and Sundays, and we'll probably be telling you a little bit more about it throughout the show as we keep going. Also with us, we have Dr. Trent in the house with us today. This woman was brought to my house for an event, and when she opened her mouth, I literally was on the floor. I'm not even exaggerating, because it's very rare that I meet someone that just speaks the same, like the same knowledge or the same, revelations at the same time. And it is hearing things in real time, and that's Dr. T. And so I literally was like, girl, don't make me come over there right now and tackle you. And then I had to get up there and go and tackle her because it was that real. So with us today, we have Joe Beery in the house, yes? And he practices Qigong, is that correct?
Yeah, Qigong.
Okay, and before I move on here, what is it that you associated, like you are just Dr. T and you just drop knowledge and wisdom bombs, or is there associated?
Well, yes, that and light work.
Light work,
just
period.
Work, yes.
People say, what do you do? I'm like, I work for God. You know what I mean? Like, I am a servant of the Most High. That's all I got. Yes. Okay, so welcome, Joe Beery. And is there anything else that you'd like to add to it? I know he practices Qigong. We took a class, and it was so interesting, and I learned so much from it. Is there anything else?
Well, yes, I teach Qigong, and it's medical Qigong.
Right.
So it's there. It's using the same radiant systems as acupuncture.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're all here, I think, just talking about better health and
how to use energy work to create that better health.
Absolutely.
That's
right.
awesome.
With our mind and our intention.
And I can vouch for his classes. I learned a lot, and we'll be talking about that throughout the show as well. With us, I have the goddess in the house with us, and a goddess Omna.
It's okay.
Well, so I have family members literally, and Sister Christina Muhammad has a daughter. Her name is Amina. You know, and all the Aminas I know, but Omna, I like that even more because, like you were saying, Om is in it, and that's even more powerful.
Yes.
So please forgive me for not being able to say such a powerful name. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. I ask for your forgiveness.
Sound therapist?
Yes.
Yeah, so I do sound therapy, and I also do different forms of healing, like removing blockages or focusing on the chakra system, and just using a lot of different healing modalities just to bring overall health and clarity and balance and alignment.
To the body.
Yeah, to the body, mind, and spirit.
Interesting.
Yes.
I've been talking to such spiritual people, like, the last couple of days, and it's so crazy how we're all saying the same thing, and none of us have really even talked to each other. So I find that utterly, utterly fascinating. So let's kick this thing off. I'm going to go around, and maybe about 30 seconds or more, you can really kind of speak in depth of how you do your healing work. Just go a little bit further.
Okay.
So please, let's start off with you, Pastor.
Yes. So what I love to do is a Reiki healing, which is just the power of touch. I think we spoke about this earlier today. Like, we as humans just don't touch anymore. And a lot of different cultures found the healing power in touch. And so just utilizing your own internal energies to love on someone, hug someone, touch, send power to any of the chakras. And everyone does their own energy work, but being used as a vessel to send that attention and awareness to anything that may ache their physical bodies or their spirit bodies. And so it's really powerful to just be a vessel to help people feel their own energy.
Beautiful, beautiful. Dr. T, Dr. Trent.
The way that I like to work with people is going to the root, maybe traumatizing things that has happened into their life, happened in their life rather, and sometimes that can cause a disease. So like going into the root, doing shadow work, working with the inner child, and herbs, because my grandmother, who lived to a very long time, into her hundreds, she taught me herbs at a very young age. And she said she passed it to me because the rest of the family wouldn't use it. So it works. It works from fig tea to just everything. So
We're not utilizing herbs the way we should. Shoot, we're not even eating vegetables, most of us, but we'll get to that.
True.
So I teach medical qigong, and definitely as much as you really try to work with trying to find the source of what the ailment may be for different individuals. But I also believe that really healing, people can call us healers and whatnot, but the true healer is the individual, and I really kind of view us as just being, I view myself as just being a guide, so that I don't create too much attachment to that. And really, I think that's the gift, is when you can actually then teach and then guide and show the individual how to heal themselves.
Like fish for yourself.
Right,
Learn
and
how to
it's
fish.
kind of, right, and it's almost like, because once you start showing and start showing them different methods and techniques, then the energy begins to flow again. And a lot of it's that, I mean, just the energy blockages from different situations, from trauma to, we all just have to get the energy flowing again. So I think that's really where I try to focus on. I mean, at the end of the day, it is about energy flow. But once you understand the different specifics that they're working through, then you can pinpoint different areas.
And we're going to get a little bit more specific in just a second. Goddess, how do you do your work? How do you flex your work?
Well, for me, I have a few different ways. I use sound in a form of sound therapy, like a meditation, to really relax the body, to switch and change your aura or raise your vibration. So I love using sound. I love using different mantras, different types of meditations, to really, again, like dig deep within, remove any traumas or remove anything that is really blocking us from being our greatest potential. So those two things, definitely using aromatherapy and different herbs in different ways, rather making a spray or some sort of tonic to detox different parts of the body. So using nutrition as well in there as well is a big part about how I do my work. Just using all the things, definitely, including Reiki as well. I do Reiki as well, to just, again, bring overall light and overall healing and overall balance. Yeah, so I like tying in multiple different things just for the overall healing.
Tying in multiple things for the overall healing. And I'm just listening right now, and we already have so many multiple things on the table. We have sound, we have touch, we have herbs, and we have movement, right? And so like these are already a multiple things coming to the surface on the table as methods of healing, and I'm so excited. I want to stop off here for sound. Sound is such a powerful tool when it comes to healing. Why on earth do you think that is?
I feel that sound is everything. Everything that is living is vibrating on some sort of frequency, right? So everything that we interact with has a sound, right? And so that's why it's so much power in it. If you're saying something with a really powerful vibration to it, you're definitely bringing that or that thing into your life. And that's why it's so important to speak with love or speak,
It's so true, because even if somebody says something, for example, you could say the same word, but with a different vibration on it, it completely changes the meaning of it. So you could say, come here, right? Or you could say, come here, right? Or come here. Like everything changes, right? And just the vibrational tone of how you say it. That is so deep. Does anybody else want to comment on the power of sound?
She's right, because I was teaching my 13-year-old about sounds, and I remember one night I was not feeling well because of, I think I told you, eating chocolate with French fries. Oh my gosh. I shouldn't have done that. And I was in pain, and when I laid down and got ready to go to sleep, my son jumped up and he put on a sutra. With the words and the sound, and I literally slept. It really does help, because it helps your energy, those sounds, those different tones.
It really does. It helps you get in the zone,
like instantly.
Yes,
especially when you put on your jam.
Okay,
whether it's birds chirping, if it's a Gregorian chant. When you put on your jam, it just helps you like really fall into the spirit a lot faster. What you thinking about sound?
Well, recently I learned with the chakras, the vowel sounds actually have healing energy. So we do learn some of this in school, just simply saying the A, I, O, U, and it balances and harmonizes your internal, organs. The whole system gets a reset. And when you say those sounds, you can feel the vibrations within. And something so simple, and there's actually particular keys like the do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, saying that with the vowel sounds resets your energies within. You can feel it immediately. So you try it out for yourself. Don't take my word for it.
And even so, then now that puts us with music, right? So when you're listening to music, the sound and the vibration can put you into a particular mood.
Exactly.
So like one song can be upbeat, and now you run in a marathon because that song just went so hard, it pushed you to the limit. And then you have another vibration that is bringing you low. My advice is, if you're already feeling low, don't put on music to further perpetuate your lowness.
Exactly.
Key, like just write that down. Write that down. If you're feeling brokenhearted, don't put on brokenhearted songs. Wait till you're not brokenhearted to jam that jam. But all kinds of stuff, right? Like you could put on a jam and take a girl, like you could take somebody on a date and you haven't said one word to her like "I love you," and just from the vibrational music that you put on, she's feeling like
it's powerful, definitely.
So interesting. Do you want to add to sound? Anything?
Yeah, so within traditional Chinese medicine, sounds are very much a part of medical Qigong as well. And so each one of the organs actually has each one of the elements has its own sound. So for instance,
thank you.
For the heart, on an emotional level, when we're working with the heart, it's when we're in balance, joy, we can experience joy. And these are all kind of intuitive. When we're out of balance, feeling overexcitation, sadness, and so forth. But the sound for the fire element is ha. Just like when we're laughing, like ha 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 ha. So, but right, and you can do it say it in different ways, but just that sound ha, is right. And
That's
just
a
when you
little
hang it, and when you hang
I
it,
was doing a high five. Like, I was trying to Pokemon high, like Charizard style.
Right, but just like you said, the different fluctuations within the frequency, you can actually accentuate it in different ways. I often do like a long ha, and really kind of let it kind of vibrate. You can kind of, like you're saying, you can feel it vibrating within your body, and that said, because the heart has that specific frequency. That's why the sound's working with that.
Oh, interesting. How did they discover that, or who?
Well, years, right? So it's like if we have extended centuries that we put toward a specific effort, the great libraries of the world before they were burnt down. That's really what that is, right? You know, it's not that first 100 years, but you know, do it for 1,000 years, and all of a sudden now you have some material.
Imagine what you can learn when you don't have a television.
So
A lot
much.
of science.
And continuity, right? I think that's really when we start looking at some of these great modalities. It's why continuity, and so I think that's something that we struggle with today in this modern world is continuity.
Can you elaborate? I'm sorry, I just need to know. Like, what do you mean we struggle with that
Continuity, just as far as that we're really learning from the older generation, and it's being passed down, and so then you can truly build upon, right? So right now it seems like we're in a place where we're not. For the last 100 years or so, we've been breaking that tradition down. That we're actually are learning from the elders, and really holding them with high regard and honor that they have value to give, and mostly giving back to the community. So currently we're not doing that.
Wow, what a statement.
Yes.
And it looks like that we're, you know, it's almost like every generation, or for the last 2 or 3 generations, is having to learn all over again. And I understand things are changing quickly and growing fast, but the human condition, it hasn't changed as much as what we've been seeing with the technology change. So I think that's still a good social way to be with our communities. Honor our elders.
So
That's a big part of it.
right now we have a virus that is just sweeping over the entire world, and it's interesting to me that touch is such a healing tool. And so we were talking about this earlier, and you had mentioned that, like, exactly what I'm saying right now. And it's like almost like if there was a spiritual attack on humanity, which this totally is, and now there's a fear to touch one another, is what you were saying, right?
Yes.
You want to say more about that, or like elaborate on how touching can bring healing to someone else?
Well, like you said, yeah, this could either be a strategy or a coincidence, and I don't believe in coincidences. So, yeah, it's somewhat of a fear that divides and conquers, right? And so, of course, we know any type of adversities in the land, in order for them to kind of take on their own ill will, the key is to divide and conquer. And so if we're not touching as much because we're afraid of passing this virus around, then that's a form of healing that we're not receiving. And we need all forms of healing, all of the elements, if you will, in order for us to truly receive or be our best, be our in our highest potentials. So if we're afraid to show that love, I mean, of course, use common sense, washing of the hands, yes, brushing the teeth, gargling with mouthwash, and then we don't have to be afraid to hug one another. Listening to your body if you feel like you have a cold coming on, taking certain herbs, that elderberries and things that help with using herbs as our first medicine, and not just any type of chemicals and stuff. And then we don't have to be afraid to touch one another or to sin. But we can also do distant Reiki healing too, which is just as powerful as prayer.
Yeah,
And that's basically.
I mean, I think that is prayer.
Exactly.
Like when you're setting your intention on somebody and you're sending them love and light. That's
yes,
the
and so you're
epitome
touching
of,
them with the spirit, and so that's powerful too.
But also, like you said, touch. Like if you've gone long periods of time without being touched, as we discussed on Thursday, when somebody does touch you. When somebody does touch you, it's like, holy schmoly, I've been missing. Like, dang, what have I been missing? And that's just, that shows you how much healing. There's a guy in our community, his name is Joe B, right? Do you know who Joby is?
I don't know.
Okay, so I call him like the hugging saint, hug thug, thug hugalicious. Like his hugs are truly healing down to the core. I feel like it's got some extra stink on it.
Yeah.
Like the hugs just got some kind of like. There's a hugging saint out there. This dude got it. Like I think he should sit under a tree, tell people where he's gonna be. I'm dead serious, and come and hug this man. His hugs are thorough, and it just shows you how much healing hugs can give. Beyond that, sex is enormous healing energy. You know, I mean, two people getting their dopamine and their endorphins.
When
and
utilized properly.
Yes.
right.
Let's be all willy-nilly.
Right.
with
Well,
it.
if you're using the
Be
right
safe, be
spiritual
safe.
person, like the person that you're
Yes.
supposed to intertwine
It's
with.
a sacred
It's not like I just want to get my rocks off. It's like our spirits are about to intertwine in the most serious of ways.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's when that's when you really get the opportunity to feel those different climaxes or different things that move through the body. If you're not connected or both like on the same vibration, mentally, spiritually, you just going at it.
Yeah.
And then it's like you just wasting energy.
And it's so crazy.
That's how I
Like there's
feel.
monotheistic people who are like, look at them talking about. There's a whole book in the Bible dedicated to this. Girl, your breasts are like gazelles.
Okay.
Like like the pomegranate on your. It's just like girl, don't do this. Like there's a whole book.
Yeah.
There's a whole
Solid.
book dedicated because it
It's
is
deep.
actually, I think, ecstasy, pure ecstasy, is the experience of God. Like my experience with God
Exactly.
was pure ecstasy. And God gives us the love, I really believe, between a man and a woman, feminine and masculine energy, to come together. Because now you got to be humble. You got to let egos settle down to work with one another. And when these two are able to collide like that, you have a godlike experience.
Yeah.
And so you get to touch the fabric of love. It's a reflection. It's
Yes.
a demonstration, you know? And so people will be like, oh, now I broke it down differently, right? Oh, snap, you know? But songs are songs. If you want to go look for yourselves and make sure that I'm not, just talking out the side of my head, songs are songs, Song of Solomon, there's a whole book about it. And I think it's there because it's that important, you know? That's how important it is.
If I may say something.
Oh, of course you can, Dr. T.
Well, in the Bible, it's stated about love thy neighbor. Now, I want to go somewhere as far as touching, as far as the youth.
Go ahead.
I think we've gotten away with that too, because not only does touching heals, it also acknowledges.
Yes.
Acknowledges another spirit, and that's why a lot of times when somebody is down or they're feeling down, you touching them, that's your energy touching them, and it helps lift them up. That's why, like, you can touch somebody, you can feel, because we're connected, and that is why touch is very, very important. And no, we don't need to stop that. And if people feel afraid, all they have to do is just wash their hands with soap and water.
Dr.
Yeah, I
T, you
agree.
said something so profound. In Middle Eastern countries, the men like dang near hold hands, like in the street. They kiss each other with both cheeks.
Wow.
And in the United States, it's like that's gay.
It's
That's
so
like
foreign.
homosexual. Just to touch one another, to put your arm around each other, and like I don't think it's always been like that. It's become more and more of a decline of touching one another. You were going to say something.
Yeah, I was going to say, even just to what you were saying, like how it wasn't always like that. It definitely wasn't, but we've been conditioned to be a certain type of way and to think. And so if we see something or a certain act of love, we're conditioned or more so programmed to think like this is gay or this is wrong. But touch is always going to be healing. And you can touch someone with your hands, with your words, with energy. Like there's so many ways, to show love or to offer someone some love and light. That's definitely going to lift your vibration. It's definitely going to change how you feel, whether it's through sex, a hug, a compliment. Like we have to get more into touching and not just thinking it's just one way. That's such a limited way of thinking. And I think so many people of all types of religions and backgrounds have that problem today.
And I was going to say that, oh, I'm sorry.
No,
And,
no, go ahead.
a lot of times with when someone's feeling sad, you ever notice when you give them a hug how the tears just stream on out? And a lot of people be like, don't cry, man or woman. Sometimes that's needed with the touch because that touch brings up the vibration.
You've
And
been
you're able to release. Yes.
I'm about to take a sharp turn unless anybody else has additional comments to that.
I just wanted to, circle
Please.
back. I think I think it's the perception within our mind right now that yes, this is a serious situation that we're all dealing with globally, but I think it's to not pull back so far energetically and within our minds to where we're kind of isolating ourselves, because I think that's the fear, is this tendency. We need to be safe. We need to kind of follow the protocols, at least as the best they understand it today, and do our best to kind of ride this out, because it will pass. We're just kind of riding it out.
Yes.
But in the interim, I think is to be conscious that we're still connected, and even though if we can, if you're not, if a person isn't feeling comfortable to shake hands, but just kind of a smile and like, we're here, we're all dealing with this, and we will get through this. But I think just kind of having, instead of, if there's the unconscious thought right now that people are having is more fear-based. It's like, oh, I can't touch you. I need to get over here quick. Groceries, oh my gosh, so a lot of this, and still kind of that we all need to kind of be together here, and so that we can get through this together. And hopefully, I believe with more love, I think if there's more fear out there, then our susceptibility to actually getting this is higher, because our overall frequency is lower. So keeping
absolutely, fear lowers your immune system. But you said something very, very important about. Shoot, I forgot. Anybody else? No? Okay. You said something about the susceptibility of getting it, but also beyond that, it was also about touching. If this is a human created, because I gotta touch the kooky conspiracy theorist area, I have to. I gotta just at least touch it.
Please do.
Put my hand on it.
Please do, because there's truth in there.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's
conspiracy when there's facts.
There are conspiracies floating around. This is a man-made thing.
Right.
And for me, it's very difficult for me to imagine that if a human being is evil enough in the world, if there's an evil so great in the world that could have a desire to want to do such a thing, I can't help but think that there's a good in the world that is so able to sustain those. And today, when we had meditation and study, in our study, we talked about how, can you not discern the sign of the times? Can't you look around you? Stop worrying about your boo. Stop worrying about paying bills. Can't you see what's going on around you? This is the time to get your spidey senses all the way up. All the way up, and to be able to hear and to have faith. And it's just imperative even more to get your faith going, and to be able to just knowing that, basically what I'm trying to say is that I believe that these things happen, whether intentional or not, to make us manifest further deep into our consciousness. Because there's nowhere else to go. How many times when bad things happen, you start looking for the Most High? It's not until doo-doo hits the fan, until you start looking for divine, cosmic energy, blah, blah, blah. We're only operating off of something like, 10% of our brains as human beings. We have not even accessed the rest. And possibly it might take cataclysmic things and moral decay and environmental downfalls for us to say, and find something within. And I think this is precisely that. We sat and we meditated. We use light and love to put hedge of protection around people we love. We let the light body go into our body and search and find anything that should not be there, or to build up our immune system with that intention. We created hedges of protection just through our mind. And also for me is tapping into the source and thanking the source for being able to create such a thing, because we've all had experiences that are like, oh, that was God, that was
Yeah.
God. Well, if God is able to do these like cosmic things that are just like, then he's able to maybe keep me from touching something, or I mean, this is just, God doesn't really have a gender, but this is a normal, like we say Mother Earth. So the source is able to keep me from touching something. The source is able to make the wind blow to blow that way. So isn't this the time to get your spidey senses up?
Yes, and to have faith, definitely.
You go, and then we're going to jump over here and jump back to Jim.
not only that, if you want to take it a step further, spiritually in the supernatural
I
realm,
do.
I'm going to take it.
Get
I'm
it,
gonna use
get
an
it.
example.
I do.
When we talk about touching, I'm going to say touching and speaking. When you speak, you touch too. And I'm going to use an example.
Please.
When I'm driving down the road and somebody swerves in front of me and they seem like they don't know how to drive the right way, instead of getting upset and using my emotions to let off an energy, I'll say a prayer and send good vibrations their way, like help them to drive better. I mean, and that's how we need to, or if you see somebody and they say, do you have some change? And I'm like, well, I just have my card, I don't have no change. But you know what? You're going to get what you're looking for today, what you need.
Yeah.
And touching and bases and speaking.
Yeah. Does anybody want to say anything else right there?
Well, I think it's just in these times, I think it's important because I think there can be a sense of feeling of scarcity with food that we're dealing with right now, and it could be other things. But also, yes, I think the scarcity of just intimacy and collective intimacy, you know, because, yeah, I think that we always need to try to, just like you said, in case of the driver, it's having compassion for that person. Like maybe there's really something going on, and I'm just going to step back and give that person that space that is what's going on, instead of making the judgment that person's either a bad driver or how dare they cut me off or any of these types of things. I think right now we just really need to try to support our fellow brothers and sisters because. This is with the corona, this is kind of a challenging time for us, but I think that we can all, learn to rise above that and I think and embrace the intimacy of the community, that we're all dealing with this together. So we're not isolated, summary, so that we're not feeling isolated, and that's the big piece. It's just, I just caution everybody from that. So even if you can just kind of smile at people, and maybe you don't feel like you could physically touch or hug, just extending that intimacy, even with strangers.
And I think that's wisdom, especially if you don't have your spidey senses kicking into full gear. Another reason why it's good to get your spidey senses up, because even like with laying on hands, you call it Reiki. Before I pray for somebody, I don't just lay my hands on anybody.
Right.
You're sick. I don't like say, oh, let me hurry up and pray for you. I listen in the spirit, and I'm like, is this something I'm supposed to lay? Is this something I'm supposed to intervene on? Because sometimes people need to go through what they're going through.
Yes.
It's pressure and struggle. It creates diamonds. It creates things within people. So I don't quickly, so that wasn't a good thing. I don't quickly lay my hands on anyone. That's definitely not a good thing.
I was thinking in regards to like just the offering a smile or not being reactive, instead responding. But our thoughts are vibrations, like you said. Our thoughts can touch lives. Sending that good energy of thoughts, sending a touch of a smile. Like we just walk around with our phones now, in our own little isolated world, just me and my cellular device, and we have to relearn how to interact, eye contact, sending out those thought vibrations just to send love and healing. And I don't know what you're going through, but I just pray goodwill towards
Yeah,
all,
absolutely.
even the worst of the worst evils, their sincere experience causes them to behave the way that they're behaving. And so who are we to take away their experience?
Right.
If anything,
on.
we can give them a new experience to behold
Right.
by truly being the change that we want to see in the world.
That's so good, Jamie.
And even with Reiki healing, some people don't want to be touched because, they're not used to feeling, someone else besides a family member touching them. So there's a way that you can work with just the aura energies, and then there's sometimes where people are not ready to receive whatever healing touch or love signals that you're trying to send to them. Doesn't mean that you stop sending the love, but you learn how to use discernment or, okay, so this area is probably off limits, but I can offer you this instead. And so it's important that we do tap into our spidey senses. I like the way you said, or the intuition. We can utilize our instincts and our intuition to be able to move swiftly with those around us. So.
And I like what you said about energy work. That's real. I know when we were doing Qigong, Joe had us, he started us, we had our hands, and then he had us, doing a circle with our hands. And he's like, y'all feel that? And we were like, yeah. He's like, just wanted to let you know it's real. Just letting you know it's real. And, you can, take your hand and, be intentional, and you can begin to feel it, I'm feeling it right now, right?
Yeah.
And so that's a real thing. That's a real thing.
Yeah, everything is vibration. Even we don't see the air between us, moving right now, but all of that is moving. And so when we're sitting I just touched all of y'all. Did you feel it? That energy is real. And practicing it for yourself can get you in tune with, your within, your divine connection to the source.
Right.
These bodies are just an antenna that, we get to borrow for a little while.
Right.
And make sure that we're each in a relationship with the divine source so that we can know what energy we're giving to ourselves, what thoughts are you giving to yourself, what words are you speaking over yourself, and what thoughts and words are you speaking over others. The better you take care of this body that we have, the more your connection is with the divine source to be able to interact with others in this world,
Absolutely.
regardless of their pain.
But and that's why it is so important, especially speaking of coronavirus, there's something really bigger going on too, and that's with our youth, because our youth they're not being taught any of this.
Yeah.
And they're, like that in the phone, and we need to teach that to them, because behind that, there's no compassion, anything. And so we most definitely need, especially with our youth and with parenting, hugs and kisses, acknowledgement.
In the Bible, you see Jesus rolling around among lepers, right? And it ain't nothing but a thing. And so I would say that doesn't happen anymore. But the problem with it is that I have seen healings go out that have no business happening, that are not they're beyond logic. But what I do find, and I believe this with all of my heart, is that oftentimes the miraculous doesn't happen until you're up against the Red Sea with Pharaoh behind you. So when you go into these countries, other countries that they have no medicinal things, they have no pharmaceuticals, then you see things break off that are just unexplainable, because it's necessary. It's necessary for them to begin to tap. Like a mother lifts the doggone car off of her child. How is that happening? Because in that moment of being between the Red Sea and Pharaoh, you just got to do what you got to do, right?
Make it happen.
And we're living in a world where you're sick, well, then just go ahead and, take a pharmaceutical. And there's really, I'm not saying that there's nothing wrong with that, but you have that. So why do I need to pull off something miraculous, right? You have all these resources. Oh, you got the flu, take Tamiflu. You don't want to take Tamiflu, take herbs. It'll take a little bit longer, but it'll be better for your body in the long run. You understand what I'm saying? You have these resources. But what happens when there are no resources? And that's when I think Sorry, something's going on behind the scenes that just got me like, I think this is where you're going to start to see the spiritual manifestation.
Oh, yes, absolutely. That is, that's why it's so important for us to be, tuning into all these different modalities and different ways of accessing our true essence or our higher self. Because when all the things are not here no longer, because all things come to an end, definitely. And when they are, all you have is the power and love within and what you know, your belief systems, what you know to be true. And that's why you have to really know yourself. That's why you can't be around here with fear and things like that, because you're gonna be like fighting yourself.
How does it
you
help?
know? And when you have fear, that's definitely for me the thing that stops people from connecting, from having heart to hearts, from just sending love or light in any type of way. It's the fear.
Yeah.
And oftentimes that fear is from themselves.
Yeah. And they haven't been flexing their spidey senses. People want to wait. People want to wait until the last minute. But when you've been walking with your spidey senses, you have a record of history. We talked about this at the meditation. Y'all need to come to Saturday or Sunday meditation so you could get this one. You don't need to, but if you want to, is what I meant to say. If you would like to come, you could get this in real time. Is that, yep.
And the body has the power to heal itself. There's different forms of just movement, breathing, so that, I think you were probably about to go into that.
I was definitely thinking about, that's a great example as far as the one that you said about, the mother lifting up the car off, right? And the only reason why that happened, right, is because she's not thinking that car weighs anything.
That's right.
She's right. So it's just that, that because if she did, that would have been a block. She would have never been, if she was like, oh my gosh, that's 5,000 pounds. I don't know if I'm be able to do that. Well, let's try. Never even crossed her mind. It was like, I am moving this out of the way.
You doggone right.
No, that's no fear right there.
Come on now.
Yeah.
Right, the deliberate. So that I think is a great example about energy blockages or just even belief system blockages. Right, she didn't have in her belief system. She didn't have a doubt at all.
Right.
It was so fast that it was just, I'm moving this out of the way and saving my child. But the energy work, because we're kind of talking about energy work in general. It's all really here. It's all in our mind. Where the mind goes, energy will flow. And so, so it's
attention to.
So I think that's just a great example for the listeners that are listening. That is very powerful about what we think, how we think. So if we are having blockages or limiting beliefs that are keeping us from moving forward in our life, whatever it may be, and we know it, those are the places that we need to try to, shine the light on really bright. And that's, that's the beginning of some personal work.
Remind me. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say specifically on what you were talking about, being that our thoughts literally are so powerful, with the time that we're in right now. And I just want everyone to know this is so real, but the time that we're in right now, we literally have to be careful about how we're thinking.
Yes.
Because a lot of times, and I'm not personally in this space, but a lot of people are in fear. They are worrying. They are beyond buried in doubt, and because our thoughts are so powerful, we have to make sure that we are thinking positively,
right?
Or we can just allow ourselves to be sunk in negative energy or to be sunk in a space of darkness.
And that's what I reminded me. Remember, I kind of lost what I was going to say. You both reminded me is that when you've been working on your spirit man instead of your physical man, you have all this experience of where the Most High, the Spirit, helped you. And so because you have, that happened, I know that happened, that just was a supernatural thing. I got guided on that, and I got guided on that, and you have all these references. It gives you confidence. It gives you faith.
The Spirit by the Spirit.
And you know what you're doing.
By the Spirit. So and then all of a sudden, you haven't been paying any attention attention to the spiritual realm. Everything has been living on the surface. And now all of a sudden you want to activate these features that you have, but you haven't been taking the time. And once again, I'm going to go back to this morning's teaching that we had at Flower of Life Ministries. The reason why is I'm using her ministries despite just just location, because just in case, so
We all
Yeah.
gather there. We
Yes.
have our congregations there. I think everyone's been to the
I love
the
the ministries. Yeah.
You know,
So-
I'm sorry.
Go ahead,
You
you,
know what?
please.
In speaking and touching, I'm going to go two places here also. Speaking, like when you think about in the book of Genesis, moved over the waters and spoke. So
yes.
speaking, you think about the alphabet, how, in anybody's alphabet, I'm not for sure about everybody else's, but how the energy just touches into the atmosphere. And our avatars come from the earth.
Right.
And if you think about it, it was spoken that every seed and plant is to maintain this avatar. So, and as far as people fearing, they do need to stop fearing, because that is letting off an energy.
Right.
They do need to stop speaking, because they're actually manifesting stuff into existence.
Right.
And like coconut water. Coconut water is antiviral. You could use that and put it through your system.
Sure
Come on
Put it
now.
through your system.
Come on now.
Yeah, coconut oil. You could put some in your salad once a week. This is antiviral. It really works because everything that I say, I've tested just to make sure. When my grandmother showed me and tested again, my son and daughter had the hands and foot virus over somebody's house. They never went back there. But I went up the street to the herb store and got some olive oil.
Yeah.
And I put it on their hands and their feet. And you know what? It disappeared in 20 minutes. Versus, and I'm not putting hospitals down, but versus me going all the way to the emergency room and waiting, it's right there.
So many natural home remedies.
And that's what
So
that's
many.
what doctors used early on before they switched over to chemical.
Right.
They were all
Oh,
of
yeah.
them were doing it
Oh,
the
yeah.
naturopathy type
Using
thing.
the
Until
herbal
they tried to
medicine,
make it
yeah.
witchcraft.
They wanted to put fear in us. So,
That's exactly
the
right.
things that are really going to, cause some transformation, a lot of times we hear or see in magazines or whatever, they want us to stay away from those things.
Right.
Same thing they say about yoga.
Yeah.
They say, don't do that. That's craziness. But it's really helpful.
There was
Yeah.
a doctor that sold the idea that using herbs and this and that was a form of witchcraft. And
Wow.
so now we only use chemical forming things. But the reality, the Bible says, right, that the herbs are for the healing of the nation.
Yes.
Yes.
They're medicine. They're like medicine too. They're
In
definitely like
Revelations
medicine.
22:3.
Okay.
And even talking about figs and frankincense and myrrh, all in the
All of
Bible that
that.
gives you clues.
Those are even
I'm like, if
what
it was
is
good enough for
antibacterial?
Jesus.
Yes, the golden seal and myrrh and frankincense.
Frankincense cleans the air.
Yes.
I don't even know where we can get started on. It's like I want to go to people and be like, yo, herbs, but they're not even the most vegetables a lot of people eat is on their hamburger.
I know. You gotta get out the box a little bit, Get a little bit more greens in the system. That's how you're really gonna see a change in your vibration or change in your personality, or you're gonna see some things really change. And just not having a piece of lettuce, like you said, on your burger, like you have to do more. You have to implement more vitamins and more minerals if you want to see some real results.
You are what you
Definitely.
eat.
Yeah,
That
come
energy
on now.
that's
Yes.
touching the inside
Yes.
of you.
So that energy, which if I have greens and reds and purples and yellows
Living fruits.
that looks lively and
Yeah.
living over here, which one do you think is going to up my energy and increase my vibration? The living thing
Yes, of course, the living.
or the carcass?
Anything that's fully living and just not having that one piece. That's not gonna save you. It's not gonna do it. You gotta implement more. You have to.
And you know how I know that we're living in a zombie-like state? People will say things like, I don't know why I feel so bad. And don't eat nan fruit or vegetable.
Because of what you're putting in your body. Like, that is information. That is energy. You know, and that's why it's so good to implement different colors because they do correlate with the chakras.
Yes.
Definitely. So I love to eat for the chakras is what I call it.
Yes.
Yeah. Like if I want to focus on a certain part of my being, I will, like if I want to focus on my root or my sacral, two really important chakras, I will eat a bowl of red and orange fruits or vegetables, and it will literally like send energy to there because of the intention, because of the mindfulness.
That's right.
Well, and also, I think with food, and I think pretty much every religion, culture, all has a tradition with blessing our foods.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I will throw this table across the room. Go ahead, Joe.
Well, just blessing our foods and with just that intentionality. I mean, even at a minimum, just being grateful. You know, the traditional prayer, quote unquote, that we're blessing and we're grateful for this food. But just the same, like what we were all just talking about, the live food.
Yes.
You know, all food has energy, right? That's where we get our energy, our chi, our prana, whatever you may want to call it, from food and from our breath. And so, right, always having the highest quality food, but even with any food that we get, it's coming into our temple here, you know, is to bless it. And then the real blessing, you can bless it just as being grateful, which does a lot because we're grateful for this food instead of just kind of just thinking we deserve it, right? Or not even thinking about it.
Wow.
So it's like it's sending, you know, it's kind of supercharging your food. And just the same, you can also, as is, this table is solid, but it's not, it's 99% space, right? And the electrons are moving around. With the same with the electrons within the food, they're moving around. So by blessing it and maybe even with intentionality, elevating its frequency, its energy as high as possible.
When they're trying to take out its frequency.
Right.
So.
You have to add in.
Even if you're at McDonald's, having that moment, being grateful, blessing the food, whichever. I don't want to try to guide people too much, but or even with for myself, I'm always trying to increase the the overall energy within the food, exciting it, so that then when and being grateful, of course, and so then when I ingest it, I'm getting more of
it.
and especially thinking, you know, brother chicken or the cow or whoever, if it's that, or even, you know, brother cabbage or lettuce or, you know, or sister carrot or whatever it may be, you know, however you want to think about it, that we're all really still just one. And I think being totally grateful for that food as because that's really our fuel. Even if you can buy it, it's still being grateful. That's where I think people can kind of be like, I bought this, I deserve it. It's like, well,
be grateful you have the things to get it. Definitely. It goes a long way.
Some you know, economic backgrounds or some people that may live in poverty may not be able to keep fresh fruits and vegetables on the shelf, you know, and so whatever you can, even if it's just some ramen noodles and being thankful, like how cool is it that this like food on the outside goes into us and then like creates more cells and blood flowing in our bodies and helps our organs keep on moving. And so just giving that gratitude for whatever it is that we can afford, and being thankful that it keeps the body moving on this machine, this avatar of the body.
I do think that because of corporate greediness, that our foods are toxic because of corporate greediness.
Food coloring.
And I always use this analogy. Let's say this is the king's table, right? And on the king's table, the king has invited us to his table, right? And on there we have a huge chocolate cake over there. It looks so good. And then we have a banana pudding right over there. There's, for those meat eaters, we got a turkey in the middle right here. We got some greens over here. We have mashed potatoes over here. We have. I'm getting hungry.
Spread.
Okay. But everywhere, this entire table is full of beautiful looking foods, pastries and pastas and anything you can possibly imagine. And the king says, "Please have a seat at the table." And then I come to you and I say, "The king has put poison in the food. Intentionally, he put some poison in y'all's food." because there's a agenda against you, and there's poison in the food. How many of you would eat it like right now? Like I told you before you came in, guys, I need to let y'all know something. This king ain't no good. This king does not have our best interests at hand, and there's poison in the food.
I'm not gonna eat it.
No, even how pretty it is,
I
it's
don't care.
chocolate.
I do not
It's
care.
got mousse on it. There was strawberries.
Like no, you just have to sometimes draw the line.
Well, I'm
And
fasting
not
today.
like whatever you got to say. You know, you got to be stronger than what you're feeling like led or you see everyone else doing.
Well,
You know?
Well,
Well,
okay.
That's
here we
my
go
view
with
on
this.
it.
I think it depends on how desperate or
I had an uncle who was a pastor, and he went over to this lady's house that she did dinner. This is the story that was told by my great grandmother to me. And when he got done eating, the lady just sat there for a minute, and she looked at him, and she said to him, "You're supposed to be dead right now." He's like, "What do you mean?" And she says she put poison in his food, and he had blessed his food. And that's all I can say about that.
I've actually heard that happening to someone else as well.
Wow.
A Muslim had converted, and his family went to kill him, and it didn't work. But the brother took a piece of the food to see what the heck, why not? Just a little piece. Half of his face became paralyzed, but it didn't hurt the other one.
Yeah. That's that pure intention and that protection that you can place over yourself. And I feel like everybody can do that. So no matter what someone is trying to push onto you or trying to give you negatively, like there's you can literally protect protect and block any negative interferences. I really believe strongly in that.
Even in cooking?
Anything.
Well, look.
Like anything.
My daughter cooked some chicken curry. And like she cooked for 3 days in a row. And I kid you not, her food tasted so good. And and went go back to, the touching and everything, and her intention was cooking it with love. You ever go somewhere and taste something that's supposed to be good and it tasted bad?
Yeah.
The chef probably is not happy. He probably was cooking it angry.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Their thoughts and
That
their
energy is going into the
intentions,
Like
right.
people with
Straight in
growing
there.
hands in your hair. That's a real thing, actually.
Definitely.
Don't let anyone touch your hair that has bad juju.
Okay, because it's going right into your crown. It's going right into your head.
Yes.
So like that going back to touch. Like that's why if you're intentional and you're intentionally sending loving vibrations or happiness and positive energy and vibes, like that's going to be way more powerful than anything else. And it can really transform any living thing or person.
And going back to the food, I think it's like a matter of desperate. Like if they've been living in a famine for so long and they heard that this food is poisoning, well, it can't be worse than me starving. So I'm about to try to go ahead and eat while it's in front of us, and that goes to just our homeless people, our people that are living in poverty. If they're starving, and you've got a burger over there, and you turned your back, like why not just swipe it? Because I'm starving right now, And so it's important that we take care of our community, teaching them proper foods to eat, but also like sharing
and growing.
Yes, and
so it's not greed.
And having, like you said, some communities don't even have produce.
Right.
I really feel with all my heart that within communities, especially of color, people, if you have a growing thumb at all, put something in the ground.
Yes.
Please do.
That's my intention with working at the Gardens in the Flower of Life Healing Ministries is we need to learn how to grow our own groceries. We need to learn how to hunt our own water. Like, if we go down to the river, you don't know if that water is drinkable or not. Learning how to see, okay, what insects are around, or are the fish still alive in there?
That's how you know.
Yeah. But we're out of touch with nature. We don't know how to build our own fire. Like if the electricity were to go out for, God forbid, whatever reason, can you build a fire to boil the water to put your potatoes in? And then going back, once you grow your own groceries, then the oxygen that comes from those plants helps to clean the air. So just we take, I guess, the 4 elements for granted. It's important, our ancestors, they had to harvest the fruits and work in the field. So now I get to go to the grocery store. Well, what if the grocery store bare shelves like it is now?
You got to know what to do.
Yes, you till that soil, you appreciate nature. God gave us this planet and the fruits of the land, the trees of life, so that we can be able to heal ourselves with just simple food. And going back to the medicines, they put the chemical juju on it, they run it through machines and stuff, but ultimately all of their stuff had to come from nature some way, somehow.
Right.
And so knowing, well, what nature products did they use before they put the extra heat or the extra bleach on it to make the pill white? What was the base products, and going in and utilizing those herbs to before and not knocking the hospitals and medicine at all, because God put that here for us. If there's an emergency, please take yourself to the emergency room. But if there's some chemicals that don't complement you well, they give you side effects, find that natural herb, find that natural food that will bring you the healing for your body.
One of the scriptures that we looked at this morning at the meditation and study, once again, plug, that you could join us anytime if you wanted to, was that it said, when the cloud looks like this, it's going to rain. And when the cloud looks like this, a warm breeze is going to come through. I'm just kind of summarizing something like that. It goes, but hypocrites, you can't discern the sign of the times. And I've said this 3 times already. And then also it says that, like, in the times of Noah, there were signs of the times all the time, but everybody was too busy into themselves. People were too busy doing the wrong things to discern the sign of the times until the flood came upon them. So can you discern the sign of the times? And if you can, then I have a feeling that maybe you might be putting some herbs in the ground, some gardening in the ground. Like, I say crazy things on this show. I said this, 80% I think of America believes that 9/11 had some fishy tendencies to it. We're not going to say what, but that's more, 80% of the population thinks that, hey, there's something going on here. Does anybody care? Does anybody say anything? Does anybody do anything? No. And that's because people have their heads in the sand.
Like that. Who does that? The ostrich?
He's ostrich. Yeah.
It is time for us to close. And before I do, I want to see if there's any last words at this table. I'll go around this way. Is there any last words you want to leave with the people?
What's really on my heart is definitely just extending the message of don't have fear. Just be mindful of your thoughts and your intentions and the energy that you're giving out. Rather you're keeping it to yourself or you're sharing it, just be intentional and don't move with fear. And give yourself living foods. Make sure you're getting a lot of water, keeping your immune system strong and where it needs to be, and just be balanced emotionally, energetically. And that is how we will ride this thing out. And I mean that with so much love.
Any last words?
Well, I think we've definitely had a great discussion here.
I do too.
Thank you.
Thank you
for all of this. I would like to say that I'm really wanting to caution everybody with feeling isolated, or even not just feeling isolation, but actively trying to create isolation. As we're trying to create containment, which is one thing. So just, I would suggest for people, like, it's kind of a twofer, is to think about your own bubble of protection around you. Chinese would call it the Wei Qi, your aura, whatever you might want to call it. But we can all visualize this bubble around us. That's the bubble we think about and project when we don't want somebody coming near us. We automatically put that up. So go ahead and put that up with that same intention. And imagine that it's continuous, or even maybe like the shape of an egg, and we're in the center of the egg. And really kind of think about that as your protection to try to protect us from most currently the corona. But then also at the same time while we're doing that then we can kind of look at our fellow brothers and sisters and really kind of smile and say, because we're all going through this immediately right now. And so that hopefully that we can not lose that connection with our intimacy, and that we can be intimate with with everybody still with this going on, and not retracting and constricting so far back. And because some people, I think, with anxiety is huge nowadays with people. So so not wanting to kind of flip way over with certain people if they're feeling too constricted.
And Joe, you also come to Flowers of Life Ministry, and you practice Qigong there on Thursday nights, and that's like martial art. Wednesday nights, and that's also to increase your chi or to do healing work and emotional work.
Right.
So we're all there on a particular day. So if you wanted to look in that, I will be attending his classes as well on Wednesdays, just putting it out there.
I'm gonna check it out too.
Yeah, it's absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Well, I guess the message that I'd like to leave is it's time for us to repent. Now, when I say repent, I don't mean, bash you on the head like, you need to repent. But repent as in turning away from our old ways and paying attention to everything that's going on in the world, because whether it's the coronavirus, homelessness, crime, sickness, it is all an extension, and it's showing humanity how dis-ease as a global community that we are. It's time for us to come back together. It's time to start showing compassion. It's time to go to the basics, learning about healing and all of that, so that we can turn it around, because the more that we're all off and we're not in sync and we're not helping each other, the worse it gets. And it's all a form of energy just imploding and showing us where we're at.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
any last thoughts?
Yes. So my final takeaway, like you said, back to the basics. Knowing how to grow your own groceries, knowing how to collect water, whether it's rainwater in a bucket. Have fun learning how to build a fire. Take time to breathe instead of living in the anxiety of fear. Just breathe. And it's okay for us to do that. No one can take that away from you. And knowing yourself within. And that's what this is all about. Our bodies have the power to heal anything, any anxiety, any dis-ease, any physical ailments that we have. And just knowing yourself and feeling your own energies, that gives you awareness is half the battle. So just get back to the basics of knowing yourself.
Well, peeps, I'm just going to say that I usually pray, and I'm a Christian, most of you know that. But right now, I'm going to do a unanimous with intention, and all of us in unity are going to project right now that we hope that peace falls on you right now. We hope that the things that you've heard today, that it just invokes peace in your heart. I hope that you're able to tap into that peace. I hope you're able to sit in the light and absorb the light, and to be able to sit in love and to give love back and to receive love, and let this build your immune system. Let this bring peace into your mind. Let this begin to build your faith so that you don't walk in fear. Beloved, I ask you to take some time out of your day to look inward, and it will make such a difference for your outward and in your walk and in your life. So I just thank you so much for all watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, and see you next time.
Intellectually engaging to think outside the lines, with conversation about the nation that never leaves you blind. Take a listen and pay attention. Here is where you find the educational, sensational meeting of the minds. Yeah, it's the meeting of the minds.